Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's installment of LiveWire. Today, we'll be going through something that's different than the usual. We'll not be doing a relay app as usual, but instead, we'll be looking at a Lamel application that uses the various Lamel API features to actually allow us to build a reminder application. So first of all, just a quick introduction for whoever doesn't know. LiveWire is a video series that we do about various things in the SignalWire environment, and it's pretty varied. We do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. In general, we try to talk about an application and then see how SignalWire's unique technology can make it better. I put a link in the chat with slides in case someone wants to follow along and prefers to do so on a separate screen. And I'll be keeping an eye on chat, so anybody who has a question to ask can ask it in the chat. Great, so let's get started. So welcome. Well, took less than 3 minutes, I suppose. We'll go through a few things such as what are automated reminders and why should they be important for you. Advanced text-to-speech examples using SSML, which is an acronym. We're going through a bit of a acronym soup today, but it's going to be absolutely fine. And we'll do a quick demo and then do a code dive, which is important to figure out what the possible usage is. And it's an application written in Ruby, and we'll take a look. We'll not do the survey today, so it's not on the slide, and we'll do the Q&A at the end. Of course, any questions you have, I have chat open at all times, and just let me know. My name is Luca Pradovera. I'm the lead technical evangelist at SignalWire, amongst other things, and I've been working on this for a while now, so I think many people here have heard of me, but it's not me that's important. It's SignalWire's fantastic technology. So let's take a look, first of all, at the use case of today. So voice reminder. What is a voice reminder? A voice reminder is an automated phone call coming in from any kind of phone system that usually plays a message reminding the user of something, which may be an appointment, a delivery, or other features. More and more, and we'll see how SignalWire has enabled that, those reminders have been switched out to something more interactive. So aside from just communicating that, hey, there's you have an appointment for tomorrow, don't forget about it, which is important in itself, we can also interact with the person, allowing them to leave a message or even change their appointment. What's important with reminders, and we've observed when talking to customers, is that appointment confirmation has been very effective in reducing no-shows within some kind of practices. That is, maybe dental clinics, which is going to be today's example, or just a nail salon, a spa, something like that. So anywhere your customers might forget because it's an important appointment, but not super important, having an automated reminder has been shown reducing the user the no-shows, so users not showing up, by a lot. Confirming appointments without tying up an employee is also important. So you could do that by just calling people, but it doesn't scale very well. And if you have a lot of calls to make, it instantly becomes complicated to handle. Why are automated reminders via voice important? Well, it feels like to me that voice is more and more a great channel for non-technical people. Even in this new world, especially in this new world, where we have a lot of people that are elderly and they're not no longer able to get the detailed care they used to. They have that. I mean, people who have self-sufficient, of course, have to become a bit more independent. Voice is still the easiest way for them to communicate, even more than SMS. Most people understand SMS, but we all have that relative that somehow doesn't know. So I will call you and say, hey, I've got a message. How to I read it? And the first thing you have to tell them is you hang up the phone, because explaining them how to put on the speaker on those smartphones is actually going to be too complicated. Or I'll drive by and take a look, which is usually the easiest solution. So voice is generally more natural. And so there's many examples we can make. I know we have customers doing reminders and medical reminders. We have customers using reminders for vaccinations, which is actually pretty important. Actually, you can tell from my accent, I'm not from the US, I'm from Italy, and there's a company right here in Italy that uses SignalWire technology to remind people of appointments for vaccination. And that has reduced no-shows by a lot, because even for some very important things such as vaccination, people sometimes will just not show up because it's written up on a little slip of paper somewhere in your room. Something else happens, you put a book on top of it, bam, appointment's gone. So that's been very useful. And another very important example I can make, we do have a customer with a large shipping company that reduced outbound call center utilization by 80% by using automated reminders for deliveries. How did that happen? So this company operates in a particular market, which is the Far East Middle East. So, across between Pakistan and the Arab countries around the area. And in those areas, it's customary to receive a phone call to confirm your address before a package is delivered. That is because in many of those areas, not even because they're not organized, it's just the way it is. Addresses are not really super reliable, and pretty much any delivery needs some actual location attached to it. Something like, yes, my address is actually this and that, but you can find me. The door is actually in the red building besides the blue building at the end of the road after two forks. Otherwise, it's almost impossible to deliver something. On top of that, deliveries are generally less capillary than what we do. So someone going out for deliveries will have to drive a long distance and missing the person. So if you're not home when they get there, it's a problem because they can't really bill you for it. But it will result in another trip being made. And generally speaking, what they do is, if they don't find you at home, they'll wait until there is someone else when it's a delivery in the immediate area. So that makes it so that most shipping companies operating in the Middle East have this everybody does it, of calling people to verify deliveries. So are you home tomorrow at 10? Yeah, and of course, it can be done in a million ways, but that's reduced the call center utilization by 80% because the 80% of the calls resulted in an affirmative response. Because of various reasons, of course, people who we receive deliveries from online purchases generally have done it before, so they have an address. You don't really move very often, so again, for the various reasons, 80% of the calls were resulting in just yes. So just by implementing this, in case you said no, they will just send you to an agent. But that has reduced their need for agents from 1,000 to like 200, which is actually pretty interesting. What we'll be doing is something different to still important. But first of all, what are the features that we're going to use in particular, aside from the usual SignalWire stuff? In general, if someone has played with telephony and has been building interactive application, speaking many types of variables and values is never easy. So very often there's no solution, and end up trying to devise our own. I've seen everything from people taking a number, turning into the string representation of the number. So 10 will be TEN, and then trying to speak that. We do have a video API, which is, so just an aside, we do have a video API, there's a question in chat, which is the current one-to-one video API. But if you come to next week LiveWire, you might be very, very surprised about what you'll see, because it's where there is something coming that might or might not, it's not totally untrue, that might be the video API. So the new video API is going to be released in the next few weeks, and it's going to be very, very interesting. So come next week, but I'll say again at the end. So some things to consider when you're playing, when you're trying to speak. Values are formats, languages, and regional differences. The simplest reference comes to mind is how Europeans speak a date. So today for us, if it's the 5th of May 2021, while for someone in the US, today is May 5th, 2021. Some other countries might even have the day of the week as almost mandatory. Plus, there's a few other interesting things when you get into days of the week. The week starts on a Sunday in the US. It starts on a Monday in most of Europe. And even further, just the simple things like the dollar sign goes in front of a currency amount in the US, but the euro sign goes after the currency amount in Europe, and it's very often replaced by the letters EUR So it's while you never really see dollars number. And there's many others. So we'll go through all the things you can say through SSML. So how do we handle this in a way that prevents us from having to devise solutions like break up the number, make it into the string representation, play that, and what else? We can use SSML, which is fully supported by SignalWire. SSML is speech synthesis markup language, which for once, and for people who were on last week's event, is finally an acronym that makes sense. There's others that make much less sense in what we do. It's a standard way to express how to speak certain entities. So it's an XML dialect that allows you to specify how you want things to be said. One example sits right in the bottom. So interpret as date, format year, month, day, and detail one. So what that does is speak the date in a way that is the day of the week, and it will say it in localized regionally. So that will say 10, so I don't know what day it's. Let's say it's Monday, September 10th, 1960. That's based on detail and the format. So the format is not what the tag will speak, it's what the tag will try and recognize the content as. So of course, if your date were, like in our example, month, day, year, you will have to specify that format. Oh, sorry. So SSML allows you to say a lot of things, and we can go through a few of them. But the most important things are, well, you can say characters. If you want to make sure an acronym is spelled out correctly, most text-to-speech engines will speak an acronym in all caps. With the there's a question. Yes, you can use this some interpret codes in Relay as well. Yeah, they get passed through directly, so that will work. Expletive, yeah, I don't have it built because this is really voice based, but we can totally try. It's actually just gonna beep out things. So characters will say an acronym. So if you want to make sure an acronym is spelled correctly, or you want to spell something like you maybe have your customer has a office in a city that's difficult to pronounce or as a foreign name, and you can just spell it out. So you can say my office is in Milan, Milan, so everybody knows. Spell out will actually spell out the words in the phonetic alphabet. Cardinal will say a number as in will say a number in the cardinal way. So no matter how the number is interpreted, it will be read like 1, 2, 3, 4. Number is generic and mostly pertains to the format. So, for example, you can have 1960 to be said 1960 or 1960, depending on whether you're using a number or a date. An ordinal will say the number that is in the tag as the corresponding order word. So, 13 will be spoken as 13th. All these have various ways to control them. Digits will spell out digits. Again, this is very useful. So if you're spelling out a number and you don't want to use the telephone number, maybe it's a PIN, so you cannot use a telephone number. What you do is spell out the digits. So if your new PIN is 2449, or a fraction, which is actually interesting. We're getting into weird territory. I can't say I've used many of these really. Fraction will be 1/10. It's still useful. Unit is going to be something like 10 feet or 20 meters. This will actually convert the units for you people with the imperial weird measurements, where a furlong is 12 bushels or whatever. A date is what we're going to use today. Date is one of the more useful, and it will say the date in the correct format for the language you're using, as long as it's fed the correct input format. Time, likewise, will say the time in the correct way for the current language you're using, including AM and PM, and you can specify a few of those too. Telephone will spell out a phone number, which is important. For example, a phone number will be set as 404-475-4849. So it will have pauses in it. Address allows you to extract and better speak out an address to the various components. An interjection is it's spoken in a more expressive voice. So, for example, an interjection would be, "Wow, your appointment is really cool." If we're to use it in this particular case. Expletive. So let's look at the address, for example. Address interprets the value as a part of a street address. And using expletive will beep out the content inside the tag. So instead of speaking whatever is in the tag, it will do a classic beep, like a movie when you're trying to beep over bad words that people have said. It makes it actually quite cool and interesting because it's I honestly can't say I've used it. So because of course you would have to know that it's an interjection to begin with, but it probably has its uses if you're doing some very, very specific use cases, right? So the application we're going to build is a very simple LAML API application, as opposed to the REST API, which we use for other similar stuff. And we'll simply roll out the call using the REST API. When picked up, we'll speak the appointment information and ask for confirmation. And if the user does not confirm, we give them the option of 2 slots. Of course, all of this is simplified in the code to make it more readable, because really how you get those appointments, how they will look in the code, they will be in a database or something. We have a very simple JSON file to display those for now. Okay, so let's place some calls. Let me go grab my terminal and my Bria. Yeah, the API could, hey Johnny, by the way. Yeah, the API could absolutely start a call at a specified time. You could start as many as you want. The limitation is really 1 call per second per DID you own. That's a basic limitation. I think it's pretty hard to lift these days because of carrier requirements, but 1 call a second will wake up a lot of people per number. So if you have more call IDs or more numbers, you can just place more calls. Okay, so the application actually lives here. So I'll go into my browser here and fire it up. Okay, so as you can see here, I set up a quick view with just a few base things. One of them is so this is the appointment I have. So and I will click on the confirm button. Confirm button will actually not do much because of how it's set up, but it will ring my phone.
Hello, Mr. Smith. We are calling you from the dental clinic to remind you about your appointment on May 10th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Do you confirm that date and time?
Nope. Let's say I don't like it.
Let's pick another appointment for you. Press 1 or say first for May 10th, 2021 at 11:15 a.m. Press 2 or say second for June 10th, 2021 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you. Your new appointment is on May 10th, 2021 at 11:15 a.m.
Great. So that was it, really. I used both speech input to confirm the first step, to deny the first step, and then I used DTMF input at the same time to actually pick the second appointment. So I'll go real quick. I'll go take a look at my space here, and I wanted to show you that I just received a message here. LAML inbound SMS. So the easiest thing is actually to show it here because it's my dashboard. So I got a reminder after a call letting me know that my appointment is at the dental clinic at that day and time. So this is just I mean, it looks simple, but it's actually quite interesting. I won't make another call. Of course, if you say yes, we just say hello, thank you. Or maybe we might want to do another call just to see how I wanted to show you something because it might be interesting. I'll do another call. And just press a random DTMF that's not accepted.
Hello, Mr. Smith. We are calling you from the dental clinic to remind you about your appointment on May 10th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Do you confirm that date and time?
I press 5.
sorry, I could not understand you. We are calling you from the dental clinic to remind you about your appointment on May 10th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Do you confirm that date and time? Press 1 or say yes to confirm, or press 2 or say no to choose another option.
Yes. So as you can hear, the second time I went through the menu,
Thank you for confirming your appointment. Goodbye.
the second time I went through the menu, I actually, when I pressed 5, so which is not accepted, I actually added an extra part of explanation, which was letting the user know. So this is a common pattern. What I like doing is the first pass through a menu, don't really play options unless you have to. So for example, what we did here is just play the, do you confirm this? You expect people to say yes, right? If they somehow don't say yes or no, you could maybe you play it back and say, hey, I don't think I heard you. You can also press 1 or say yes. So the first interaction will work for most people and make it more enjoyable to work with because the message is shorter. But in case someone doesn't really get through the first time around, you can certainly add information. This is not part of the API, of course. This is a pattern I like to do. So first of all, let's load up some code and see what happens here. This is a Ruby application where there's a link in the chat here. I'll copy and paste it again just in case. Okay, so the app really doesn't do much in the sense that we can see a few things going on here. There's a JSON example file which you need to actually fill in. You don't really need to fill it in. All you need to do is so ignore the alert. There is just generated content. Here is where you put your phone number for the reminder. Really, everything else you can leave, or you can change it. You can experiment with it. There's instructions in the README though, so you can take a look at that too. The important part here is, well, the views are just the HTML page you saw, so nothing to see here. The important part is the actual code here. So we set up a few things before we get started. We read the JSON file. Reading the JSON file is not really a super good pattern, but it's good for a demo. This is where your database will live, right? Then we load up then we have a couple methods. One is to make a call, and one is to send a reminder, which really just sends a message. Both are useful because they extract things out from the main controllers and make the application a little bit more readable. Then I am actually using the SSML code right here. Line 31. As you can see, we have say as stanza that will say date, interpret as date, format MDY. If you remember, and we can likely just go, I'll keep another tab open so we can jump back and forth. This is just data, right? So the reminder will be sent to that number. What else? And the date, of course, is in format MDY. So we're letting the engine know that it should expect the month, then the day, then the year. And likewise, the number, the time will be specified in hours, minutes, seconds, 12. So as you heard, it says 11 a.m. Then we'll start with a quick route, which this one just has the view that you saw earlier. Going to the call will place a call to the to field of the reminder, which is what's making my phone ring. That call is placed, giving it a URL, which is the app domain, so where the server actually lives, which will be my Angarok tunnel in this case, and the reminder path. That means that when the other end picks up, my cell phone in this case, I will be sent to the reminder endpoint. The reminder endpoint is the one that's a little bit more meat on it, right? First of all, we'll print the parameters in the console because it's easier and it helps us debug. We'll pick the reminder out of the database and we'll create a new SignalWire response we'll use later. So if we have, this is a common pattern in IVRs and LAMO. If there's an input, so if there's a digits or a speech result, we'll do something. Let's skip past that for now. No input means nobody has clicked or said anything yet. So we're in the first pass. Then we'll say hello, unless parameters retry. So what do we do here is we only greet the person on the first pass. If they don't say something we cannot understand on the first pass, we'll skip the greeting. We don't want to say hello, Mr. Swit again. We'll just say we're calling you for the dental clinic to remind you about your appointment on. Then we do a say block, and we use the above method to say the date and the time, adding it to the XML. So as you can see in this application, we're saying the appointment first. There's no way the user can interrupt the appointment being spoken before it's done. This is important. This guarantees your user either hangs up and then you'll know because it didn't do anything, or they will hear the entire message. So I will suggest not having this kind of thing directly in your input prompt in your getter, but play the message first and then ask him. So as we say here, do you confirm the date and time? On the retry, so if we're going on a subsequent pass, we'll press or say yes to confirm, or press to or say no to choose another option. This way, you're forcing your user to first hear about their appointment, and then they decide if they want to change their appointment or not. Going back up, if they press a digit or say something, we'll do this. If the digit is 1, or if the speech result matches yes. I like using using match instead of an exit match, because the speech result is just a text recognition result, and someone might say yes I do, or yes it's okay, or whatever. So you want to match them. You can make this more complicated, like have a small list of words you match, yes, okay, I agree, whatever, and then make them positive. If they say yes, we just say thank you for confirming your appointment, goodbye, and hang up. If they press 2 or say something that matches no, we redirect them to the choose action, which we'll see in a while. Else, this is important, nothing came out of it. So we don't know what they said, so we'll say, sorry, I could not understand you, and then use a redirect to loop back into the current action using the using the redirect verb, but adding the retry 1 variable. So retry 1 will remove the greeting and have them hear the instructions. So a second time around, if they really didn't hear it, it's better to explain it a bit better. Okay, so assume they press 2. We'll do the same pattern. So if params, digits, or speech, if we have input, we'll do something. We don't have input, so we'll start from here. If we don't have input, we'll say, let's pick another appointment for you. And then we go into gather mode. Again, this is another example of how you could build a complex gather, but I will probably have put this in a message and then have the gather be empty, but you can do both. So this will say, for each available slot, remember that available slots are here and are controlled by this array. This should be a database, of course. This is another pattern I really suggest you do. So anytime you're asking users, you're giving users alternate dates, so trying to change reservation or something like that, and you're able to always specify slots and have them pick one. Don't go into having them speak the date and time, then to find out their appointment is not available, because even speaking the one date and time even once takes about 20 seconds for a normal person, and that plus looking up the database plus maybe coming back and saying, oh sorry, there's no slots available at that time, will make it for a bad user experience. So anytime you're able to, so you have a database of appointments, for example, my UI recommendation, UX really, there's no UI here, the UX recommendation is always have a set of slots. So we'll ask them, press 1 or say words I. So words is first and second. This is my little converter from numeric to ordinal. I could have used SSML, but I did this in code. Then we have the say, then we say the add text, and then we say the date and time for the slot. Don't know why the menu is not leaving. Okay, cool. So what this results in, press 1 or say first for the first day, press 2 or say second for the second slot. So this is all pretty straightforward, honestly. It's not complicated at all. What you need to set up is you need a config.json file with the proper setup, and you'll also need a environment file with the necessary environment variables. But it's all detailed in the README, which is here. So you can take a look at that. It's also runnable via Docker, so there's a way to there's an explanation how to run on Docker, and you can just go to localhost 4567 and click on confirm. Note that to this to work, you will need the server where you're running the application to be reachable from the outside world, from the outside internet. Cool. So that's it, really. The application is pretty simple, but there's a lot to see and a lot to learn there. So that was the demo in a nutshell. So we did a code dive. This is a Ruby Sinatra app. We use the standard label patterns. Using Docker allows for easy deployment, so take a look at that too. And there's a link for the full code for the application, which I actually also put into the chat. What else? Okay, so that's it, really. Any questions? Anything I can help with? Anything you'd like to take a look at? So triggering retries is not part of this application, but you can easily do that. There will be application code. So if you wanted to retry in 5 minutes, you will have a work queue of some sorts, picking out the calls from a database and just placing them. It's not part of the SignalWire API, but it's something that is easy to do in customer code. So no problem there. If we want to take a quick look again, the code to actually launch the call is just here. So this place call is what you'd use. So you will have some kind of worker calling this anytime you need to place a call. So that will be done with the worker. Cool. So if there are any other questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yeah, there will be invitation going out for the next LiveWire, but it should be at the same time next week. So, but I make sure everybody is. So if you're on the list, certainly get the invitation. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to say it was the video API, but I suppose now you know. Cool. So if there's nothing else, I'll be happy to see you on May 12th. To discuss our new features, but also anything you need, reach out to me. My email is luca@signalwire.com, and I'll put that in chat, and I'm happy to help with anything or direct you to who can help you within the SignalWire organization. We pride ourselves on our service and our customer support, so let us know how we can help you. Thank you for joining us, and well, I'll see you next week with some very special news.